What's up, y'all? I first want to start out with talking about one of the pros uh, involving energy vampires. And what I mean by pros is I've talked about the cons already, but I'm gonna explain how they actually be helping me out because some of the people that I've already, in my opinion, identified as energy vampires, they be helping me out in their own little way. This is how. So, I've been on Facebook for several years, whatever the case may be. But like within the last year or so, I don't know. I guess because I'm an empath, I could like feel the slightest things, and I started feeling like Facebook was pulling my energy. Um, anyway, I guess I took a break for a little while, a few months, then went back, intending to maybe stay on there periodically for, you know, 3, 4 months or something like that. Um, but I couldn't even do that. I had to get up off of it. um, Within 24 to 48 hours after I deleted my Facebook account, uh, the vampires started coming out the woodwork. Okay. So close to after me taking that action because once I noticed that the energy vampires started coming out the woodwork, that told me right there that there must have been a spike in my energy. So right away, what I'm gonna do is start rewinding the tape and thinking back on what did I just change in the last, 2, 3 days that could have caused a spike in my energy that, was a little out of the unusual. That was delete my Facebook account. In addition to that, I don't know, I just started feeling more energized and just felt better. I don't know, I couldn't do it. I had to get up off of there. But so that's one of the pros to energy vampires because ever since I gotten familiar with this concept, it's been several years now. So in all these different experiences with them, I've been taking notes. So, in some instances, people may do or act in a certain way or carry themselves in a certain way or interact in a certain way with others that is an indicator to me that they may be an energy vampire. And from that point on, I'll observe them to see if I see any other signs. And then I know to kind of just steer clear of them. So I said that to say that this is another way they helped me. So last year, I'm in New York, right? And I always felt like New York, it was something with the energy here. I don't know if the state is surrounded by some kind of field or something. I don't know. But this is what I discovered. Last year, I went away. I left the state like 4 different times. And the first 2 times when I left, it would only be several days at a time, not even a week, really. The first 2 times I went away, I noticed that I would get a call from somebody I don't speak to all the time, but whom I identified as energy vampire, right? So once it happened the second time, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna jump to no conclusion just yet, because I already knew I was planning to go away 2 more times before the end of the year. And so went away the 3rd time. It happened again. And by the 4th time, I was like, okay, I could pretty much conclude that 1, something's up in New York, because every time I leave, I get like a spike in energy. How I know? Because the energy vampires start calling out of nowhere. I don't speak to these people all the time. But what are the chances that they're gonna call in the 3 or 4 days that I'm out of town? Without fail. So yes, this is what I mean when I say there's pros to this too. You know, that's what I've learned from it. And the other thing is that I want to share a situation because I want to explain another way how they what I call energy vampire tactics. Some of these tactics they're not even conscious of that they're doing, but it's always going to bring about a situation where they could get energy from someone else. So for example, I went into this sandwich shop and went to go get a sandwich, and so I was getting like a what they call a mini. So it's not even like half of a hero, it's more like a fourth of a hero. So the girl had to cut it to make it into a fourth, and when she cut it she didn't cut what I call the butt off, you know, the end part, which is what I would have preferred her to cut off. So when she didn't cut it and she cut the other side, I said, oh man, I should have told you not to cut the butt off. And she kind of just stopped cutting and just looked at me for a little while. And I was like, but never mind, don't worry about it. And so I'm thinking it's over. And so now she's like cutting the bread slowly and doing everything slowly, almost because I guess she couldn't really do what she was doing because she was too busy looking at me, just looking at me while she's like preparing to make my sandwich. And to me, it felt like her energy was off. So at that point, I'm like, yo, I don't even want her touching my food. This is what I said to myself. So I politely said, excuse me, is there somebody else that can make my sandwich? You know what I'm saying? Like, she ain't letting this go, or at least that's how I perceived it. But anyway, the manager comes out. Is there a problem? I was like, no, I just want somebody else to make my sandwich. I didn't even go into the little minor situation that just took place. I said, I just want somebody else to make my sandwich. She was like, okay, no problem. What do you want? So I started telling her what I want. And I guess the cheese is in another area, already pre-sliced, I guess. So the same girl went to go get the cheese. And so I said, I don't want her touching my food. I don't want her energy on my food. Basically, I was saying, I don't want her involved in making my sandwich. Please just you make my sandwich. I don't want her touching the lettuce, the tomatoes, or nothing, right? So once I said that, she told her, don't worry about it, I'll handle it. And she proceeds to make my sandwich, the manager. At this time, another customer walks in. And she goes stand in the area to, I guess, prepare to tell a girl what she wants. And so I'm telling the manager everything I want on my sandwich. And I get the feeling like she's like eyeballing me. And I'm trying to concentrate, but I'm a little distracted because I'm like, is she staring at me right now? Like, what the fuck is going on? So I'm like, okay, yeah, lettuce, tomatoes, onions. And then I'm like, just glance over quickly to see if she's just, because through my peripheral, I could tell her body angle was even facing me, not even facing the woman who she making the sandwich for. And so I glanced over and she's staring at me and like putting her gloves on to make the sandwich, like really, really slow. On some passive aggressive shit. I don't know what the fuck that was about. But anyway, I said to the manager, I said, you see what she's doing? And the customer says, what? She's just making my sandwich. I said, mind your business. And she started kind of going off. I don't remember what she was saying, but she said some things. She was doing most of the talking, and I would just say something here or there. You know, she said she hate bitches like me, all this type of shit. I might have called her a bitch and told her she don't even know what the fuck is going on. You know, she just walked in and just jumped on this girl's side because she looked like her, because she didn't look like me. They were different from me. I'll just put it that way. I said, you just jumped on her side because she looked like you. You don't even know what the fuck is going on. And she's getting hype and, yelling and cursing and like getting more agitated. And so at some point I'm like, okay, first of all, this shit is not this serious. I'm not about to keep entertaining her and feeding her. Let me just interrupt and say this. This is what I mean when I say it's almost like these energy vampires got a Wi-Fi system, some kind of internal Wi-Fi or some shit, to be able to detect who got high energy, to even know to call me, like in the instances I gave earlier. Like, how do y'all know I'm out of town? What the fuck signaled you to call me all of a sudden out of nowhere? It's not a coincidence. Anyway, back to the story. She's getting more and more agitated, cursing, getting louder. And so I said to myself, because I'm about to wrap up my transaction. I don't got time for this. I shouldn't have even acknowledged her in the beginning. So I said to myself, you know what? One, stop arguing and going back and forth with her. Let her argue with herself, because one, you don't want the situation to continue to escalate. And two, I need to stop arguing with her so that I can conserve my energy in case I gotta knock the fuck out of her. Right? This is what I was thinking. And I'm like, I'm really not up for this shit today, but I might have to. Anyway. So I cut it abruptly. I just stopped. Ignored her. Now this took some time, because in the past I would have been sucked in. I've learned to have more self-control and more control over my emotions. So I was like, nah, just cut it. Because at that point I was like, this bitch is a vampire. Stop feeding her. And so I stopped. A few seconds after I stopped, and she realized, I was like, okay, so how much? And, getting ready to put my card in the machine. So I guess that told her I wasn't paying her no mind no more. And that set her the fuck off. She started growling. I ain't lying. She started growling, and her fists were clenched. And she started shaking. And she was like, oh, you making my blood boil. And I looked over like, yo, this bitch losing it. And it was a young girl in there that looked like me, okay? She was, kind of much taller than me and the other woman. And, she looked pretty fit. And when she saw that woman growl and do that, she kind of stepped in front of her and went like this, like, no, you're not going to go get her. She didn't know what that lady was going to do. But anyway, once I saw that, I said, okay, I had a whole bodyguard in here. Let me pay for my shit. Got my shit and pranced my ass out the door. So what did I learn? When I got to the car, I had to ponder on it. I don't let experiences pass me by without giving them second thoughts and trying to figure out why I even had the experience in the first place. One, I went back, I rewinded the tape where it all first started, the seed, which is when I said, oh, I wish I would have told you to cut the other side. You know what I'm saying? Once it was too late and I knew I wasn't going to make a big deal of it, maybe I should have just not said nothing. She didn't have to know what was going on in my head, because I just was going to accept it that way anyway. So I saw where I could have did that different. But the other thing I also learned was that I'm seeing that it's, I guess I would say a little dangerous to, it's best to not entertain and start feeding an energy vampire at the onset of things, because it's almost like when you start going back and forth with them, it's like you're feeding them. And it don't even have to be in a confrontation situation. It could be a going back and forth with them by still keeping them around when you maybe know they're not right for you, or that they pull your energy, you know what I'm saying? But you keep kind of hanging on a little bit. What happens is when you stop, especially abruptly, that sets them off. Because now you teased them. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I saw with the lady. What happened was when I stopped, it's almost like I was spoon feeding her when I was entertaining her and going back and forth. And then came to my senses and then just snatched the fucking spoon back, and I was like, nah, I'm starving your ass. You ain't getting nothing else. And she couldn't handle it. So to me, that was a huge lesson. Because even if my own lesson on some, you can't even play with them like that no more. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if y'all are not sure what energy or psychic vampires are, go look it up. It's all there online. It'll give you signs to look for and for you to see if you start suspecting somebody who may be. And it'll be other things you could read, but I'm not going to go into all that right now. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. All right.